About 15 years ago, there was this band in Australia called the Greats, Grates. They were from Queensland. They were like a party rock band. And yeah, I remember this is one of those like secondhand pieces of information that a friend told me that he read in an interview with them or heard in an interview, but they were really young when they formed the band, and then they started getting played on Triple J, the national broadcasters. They were like a pretty famous band in Australia, really young, and so they had to like record music, write songs, and record music. And they're like, "Yeah, we're fucking young, hey. Don't have any life experiences, so we just like watched movies and wrote songs about that because nothing's fucking happened to us, hey." And yeah, that's our first album. And I remember at the time thinking that's kind of genius because they had the self awareness to be like, yeah, we're just these like art student 19-year-olds. What the fuck has happened? The drummer's parents got divorced when she was 13. Um, lead singer's period came in 2 years later than she was expecting, and the guitarist, he's got a really fucking hairy back, and he wore a t-shirt when he went swimming with his mates down the beach in the summertime. That's basically the most traumatic things that have happened to all of them, and you'd maybe get half a song out of all that. And instead, they were like, "Yeah, let's just fucking let's mine for inspiration elsewhere. People have already done the digging, and we can just kind of go through their junk and repurpose it for our own intents and purposes, put a shiny new lick of paint on it, and it's ours, baby." So that's smart, right? But then if you're not smart enough to do that, a lot of other people, myself included, were like, all right, I've got to load up my own life experiences. I've got to develop my own sense of the world. And I got to let things to happen to me, and that will be my own inspiration. That's what I'll talk about, and that's what I'll write about. And yeah, I'll also get inspired from other people. I'll like see how they wrote a book or made a movie or wrote a screenplay or did a podcast, whatever. You'll you'll kind of like enjoy other work, but you'll be kind of grading it and analyzing it as a pseudo peer as well, thinking like, what would you do similar? What would you do different? And I've realized that there is kind of like the older you get, the less likely you are to have the kind of youthful balls to be like the fucking greats and be like, yeah, we just watched Pulp Fiction and then wrote 3 songs about it. Um, because you're like, nah, that's cheating. I'm not I'm not adding anything new. I'm not um I'm not really doing anything, like you feel like you're just kind of you're not ready yet or something. But I've kind of realized that that's a bigger trap. That's almost a bigger trap than pushing something out before you're ready, because like going through the effort of like starting and finishing something, and then like finishing by meaning putting it out into the world, and um letting everyone know, hey, here's this thing, and check it out. That's like that's the completion part. And so if you're running on fumes kind of, and you're just like, yeah, fuck it, I don't I'm not saying a hell of a lot here, but you actually go through the process of starting and finishing something, that'll inform you about how to do the next one. Whereas if you're always searching for more inspiration, it is kind of like a never ending story where it's like you can potentially be looking for the rest of your fucking life for the right moment or the right thing to click. And yeah, the metaphor that I like to use is that it's like a fucking, your brain is like a sponge. You're bringing up all this fucking dirt and, wiping down surfaces, all the excess shit. The metaphor is not that great. I get it. But then eventually the sponge is like sopping wet and it's full of shit. And it actually doesn't, it's so sopping wet that you can't actually add anything more into it. You can be like afraid to squeeze it out and take the necessary step to do your own thing, a culmination of all your experiences and everything that you've kind of soaked up down the years. So you're like, oh, I'll just go grab some more inspiration elsewhere. But there's the sponge is just pushing the fucking spillage around. It's not soaking it up anymore because you need to fucking squeeze it out. So yeah, like many of these things, this is kind of like a message to myself where it's like, yeah, sometimes you don't want to be like, yeah, I don't want to be like the fucking greats because I just don't want to push out this. I'm not a 19-year-old art student anymore. I'm not going to get away with just writing a surface level song based on someone else's work. However, there is something to be learned in terms of like, don't be a pussy. And if your sponge is full, but you're not happy with what it's full with, you're just like, oh fuck. Why did I only discover Fellini when I was 36? If I discovered him when I was 33, I would have watched all these fucking things by now. And my sponge would look so different. But it's like, well, fuck it. You're not really going to get any more Fellini into, you're not going to get any fucking Fellini into you until you squeeze out what's already inside of you. So, yeah, that's what I've kind of realized is that sometimes my sponge is empty and filling it up with technical information or inspiration from people who've created cool stuff. It's necessary having life experiences. But then at a certain point I'm like, yeah, I'm completely procrastinating here. This is this is just me unwilling to go through the pain of like accepting what's in my sponge and creating my next thing. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the next one. Bye.